AWS is now like, I mean, they have been so supportive, and I mean, I think we shared, but like they literally like sent us all sorts of Uber Eats gift cards, and they've just been hopping on a call 24/7 with us. We've got a dedicated team there now, just basically like ready to answer any questions. And that's actually how we figured out the current bottleneck at 65,000 concurrent. Because yesterday we got to 65,000 concurrent, and we're looking at our servers, and we're at like I mean 30% utilization. We're like, okay, we're really good. Like this is really running well. The CPU is going well. And then we get to 65 and just it all of a sudden just comes crashing and burning, and it makes no sense again. And basically we saw that Redis, which is one of our databases, just started, pooping itself basically. And so we talked to AWS, and they brought in like a Redis expert today and got him on a call. We've had like 3 calls with him this morning of just like what's going on. And we were able to pretty quickly, or he was able to pretty quickly diagnose like, oh yeah, like you guys can't have. I mean, I'm not the technical backend guy, so like take everything I say with a grain of salt because I don't fully understand it. But essentially, we have hit the limit of what this database. You can't have more than 65,000 sockets open, and so that is the current bottleneck. So every day we hit a new high, and then we hit a new bottleneck. And so that's been the process. Is it's 65,000, and we're gonna have to throttle so that we have a better queuing system to just instead of letting it get out of control, we can kind of make sure things are calm and under control. And then hopefully the next goal is 100,000. And if we can get to that, then and get stable, let's get to 120, right? Like that's the process right now. But if we can get a queuing system in place soon, then we don't have to worry about this bringing everything down and spiraling out of control, because instead of everything being, broken when we hit too high of a number, it'll just mean that, some percentage of people have to wait, which is obviously a lot better than everybody having to wait.
Okay, I got a question actually. That's the thing I think I talked about like in the last days. What if the EMP grenades not only close portals, but can also like confusing the radar and also stopping the regeneration? Like you throw the grenade, like they stop the regeneration for like 5 seconds, and then it goes again. Like that's the thing I talked in a crazy manner.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't really have a strong opinion on that. I feel like personally, like I kind of like how grenades are currently balanced. I feel like it wouldn't be really necessary. Like to me, the focus is like, can you portal and do you have good aim? And that's kind of the 2 skill curves. And I feel like a grenade, if all of a sudden I have to also use it for the purposes of like disabling, shields, then it's just kind of like, well, do I have to give you more grenades? How do I balance that with being able to destroy portals? I don't know. What do you think, Akubo?
I think it could be interesting, but I don't think it's necessary, because I don't think, like, if you can see someone to grenade them, then you'd probably just shoot them, which also disables their regeneration for X seconds.
Right. Yeah.
But I mean, I don't think it's like a bad idea. That and like,
I mean, that was kind of what we learned, because a lot of people don't know, but like 3 years ago, or even more than that, during one of our alpha tests, we actually tested grenades that did damage, and it ended up being that they were just worthless because, given the time to kill and the fast movement, it was sort of like, why would I take the time to throw a grenade at an enemy? Like in that same amount of time, I could have just shot them.
I do have a question from someone. They said that they are not a backend engineer, but if someone is and is interested in reaching out, what's their best avenue to do so?
Yeah, that's a good question at this point. I mean, I think I've kind of had to slow down my DMs. At first, I was accepting everything, but it's like
I'm gonna close it like in 3,
Yeah.
2, 1. Good. Adios, guys. Arrivederci. Oh,
I mean, I
like
think
another-
honestly, like if you're a legit backend engineer and you have experience with AWS and Redis and Node.js, because that's what we're built on, like I would just say, literally, like ping the crap out of us, like we're gonna listen to it, like if we see that, and we'll get in touch with you. But yeah, don't use that as an excuse to get attention.
I've got a
The other
very
thing I'll say, just because I've seen this a lot, is like, oh, well, why don't you guys just hire more people? And it's like, well, obviously we want to hire more people, but for one, it's not easy to just find great back-end engineers who also, fit the team culture and, are interested. And I mean, we're trying. And second point is, let's say we found the perfect person. That perfect person would not be able to contribute tomorrow. Like there's a lot of ramp up time. Anybody we find, it's gonna be, if we're lucky, it's weeks of ramp up time for them. So the one thing we are doing is Nick. Like normally our backend is literally one person, like, and the other three are on the actual game. But Nick, who's done a little bit of both, is basically transitioning to full-time backend for the most part, so that we have double the people from 1 to 2.
I have this has been probably the most requested that I've seen. Will replays get more features, like for instance dolly cams, like
Oh, I'd love it.
stuff like that, like for cinematics and for content creation?
Yeah, I mean, I don't see why not. I mean, I think like we kind of have the bare bones in place for replays, but we'd absolutely like to add more stuff.
I'll put in the good word for you, Jibbin.
I'm not gonna lie, as a content creator myself, that would be like next level. Like,
Yes.
Yeah.
definitely.
I have a personal vested interest with what I do to have features like that. So, I mean,
Yeah, that's true.
definitely hear you on that one.
Like it's okay to do it like with the controller, but there's a limit to it. And actually a dolly cam that like you can like do angles with it. Only that would be like a dream. That's gonna be a dream.
A couple of questions that we've already sort of answered, but now that Ian's on the call, maybe we'll be able to get more information, maybe not. Obviously popular requests for like FOV on console and stuff like that. Is there anything that we can share, or is it just maybe sometime in
yeah.
the future?
It should be available at launch, almost certainly.
What about mouse and keyboard support and stuff like that?
Yeah.
That one I think we're doing, but I don't want to confirm that. Everything is kind of chaos over here.
I'm pretty sure, for what it's worth, as well.
Yeah, I think we are. I'm pretty sure we are. I mean, we definitely hear you guys. Like when we see something like that being requested, we we take note. So. Oh, the other thing I'll say now, or maybe Ben has already said it, but Ben, why don't you talk about the thing you've been working on? I think a
You're
lot of
gonna have
people
to
are
be
going
a
to
little more specific. Which thing?
the controller related thing.
Ah, yes, the controller related thing. Yeah. So for release, I've been working on making controller buttons rebindable. So if you want to fire by pressing up on the D-pad, for instance, you can now do that, even if I would say that's a bad idea. So that should be a thing at launch, along with another thing that people have been requesting, which is right now we don't let you choose between toggle and hold for zoom, crouch, and there's one other, sprint. That's it on controller. So that's now going to be an option too.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I didn't even know all of those things.
Mm-hmm. And alongside it, we're also adding in 2 new controller presets as well. Sort of a more classic bumper jumper type preset and tactical, which swaps crouch and melee.
Interesting.
Yep.
Well, for what it's worth, there is a controller keybind preset called Cardinal, and that's what I use when I switch back to controller. And it's very goofy, but trust me, You guys should try it. If you get used to it, it's really good because you can actually aim and jetpack and portal at the same time.
I actually put that in my last one
Yeah,
in my
I
tip.
saw that. Go watch Jibin videos.
No, don't.
Do you use that one, Jibin?
Out of all of them, out of all of them, I've said that the two best ones, in my opinion, is Default and Cardinal for like general play.
Nice. So you use Default.
Yeah, because I use Mutant Claw, and I use my middle finger for Y and X.
Nice.
I don't even know.
I just got a question. Will there be any map variants in the future, for different holidays, seasons, such as Halloween or Christmas?
Probably. I mean, I think, these are all things we'd love to do, is the bottom line. I think being able to, not even just for like events like Halloween, but I think we'd like to, and actually I'll just back up, but like, I said earlier in the chat today that I'm not a huge Fortnite fan personally, but there's things I appreciate about it that I think it does really well. And I think that is one thing that they do really well is they keep things very fresh by changing the map every season. I think that there's no reason something like that couldn't apply to an arena shooter. I think it'd be really cool if, and I'm not committing to this, so don't hold me to this, people, but like changing the maps every single season in subtle ways, I think would be extremely cool if we could get to that level. If we could get to the point where, every single time, the map is slightly different. Even if it's subtle things where it doesn't actually affect the game much, but it's just different, visually, right? Maybe it's nighttime or daytime, or it's snowing or it's raining or whatever. But yeah, that said, I'm not a huge Fortnite fan, but I do think there is a reason that they've done well.
I don't even know if you want to address this, but it's a pretty common question, I would say, as far as like, are there legal issues having a battle rifle in the game, and similar questions to that.
Oddball.
Oh.
Oh, the Buru.
No, you can't copyright things like that. The only thing you couldn't do is you couldn't say like, hey, we've decided that Master Chief is in our game, right? Like obviously you can't do that. Or we couldn't call our game, hey, this is Halo, Infinite 2, right? Like but you can't just say, hey, that game looks similar to that game in that one specific thing. Like you can't do that. But also just, I mean, even if they could, like we absolutely have Xbox and Steam. Like we have great support from them. Like they really like us. They're very, very supportive. I mean, I spoke with Xbox today. Like they are absolutely supportive of us, and there's no. It's not, and we view things the same way. Like we're not in a competition with Halo. Like we're Halo fans, and a lot of the folks at Microsoft are Splitgate fans, and it's just, we just want fun games.
Yeah, that brings up another question that does get brought up. The assertion that when Halo Infinite comes out, if that'll affect Splitgate in any way.
I mean, I think it'll affect us. I think, though, we're a lot more optimistic. The way I see Halo Infinite affecting things is, for one, I mean, undoubtedly it can only help us on PlayStation, which we're very excited about. But even on Xbox and PC, the way I see things is, we want Halo Infinite to do well because we want to get those Fortnite kids over to this genre. We want all these battle royale kids who didn't grow up playing these kind of games to be introduced to these kind of games, and whether they are introduced to it through Splitgate or Halo or whatever it is, like, we're gonna play Halo also. Like play both. That's what we're gonna do. That's what most people are gonna do. But I think you'll see a very similar thing with Halo Infinite and Splitgate elevating each other, just as kind of in the early days of Battle Royale, Fortnite and PUBG elevated each other.
This is kind of a broad question that I got. What are your future plans on the game? Like, when we'll be able to get more drops, battle pass items, and more stuff like that? And
Yeah.
lastly, what are your plans on how often we get big updates in maps?
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously like we're taking it one day at a time right now, but yeah, the next big milestone is launch in 5 days, of course. So everything is focusing on stability. We've already started talking about our first big update, which will be a few weeks post launch. I think we're gonna have a battle pass on day one. It's a pretty awesome battle pass. It's got a lot of really cool stuff. We've got more challenges coming for launch, more maps coming for launch, and shortly after. But honestly, like we kind of just take it one. Well, right now it's one day at a time. Normally it's one season at a time. And I just don't think it makes sense to commit to. A lot of game companies want to have a year-long roadmap, and to me, it's like, why would you possibly do that? Like, you don't know what your community is going to want 3 months from now. And if you have a roadmap and you start working on some feature, that's, I mean, as long as you're willing to pivot, I guess is how I look at it. Like we don't know what we're doing 6 months from now because we don't know what you guys want us to do. It just doesn't, that's just how we've gone about this for 2.5 years. That's how we are always going to go about this.
Now
Okay,
that
I
you're
have.
here,
Oh, sorry. You go. Cody.
now that you're here again, I think that we can probably get a better answer for this. It was already asked once again, but basically, what's going to happen to the play streaks for the people who are unable to play today? My answer was we can either have our backend engineer, who's amazing, spend 3 hours fixing people's play streaks, or we can have him spend 3 hours letting in another 10,000 people. But I don't know if you want to expand on that
That's
at
a
all.
good answer. That's a better answer than I would have said. I don't know. I mean, yeah, I've seen a few people ask about that. Yeah, I don't want. I mean, I'm gonna bring it up to Ollie, but I'm not gonna. If it's an hour of his time, it's not a good use of time. It's already gonna take him some time to give everybody drops, which I felt was necessary. But we'll see if it's easy. We'll do it.
Another question I keep receiving a lot is, what's the reasoning behind the 2-person queue restriction in ranked when in master, and could it change in the future?
Yeah, I mean, it could change in the future. I think the main reason is just like if you queue with top players, and I think a lot of games do this, like Valorant, and I don't know, does Overwatch do this? Maybe, I'm not sure, but
I know it used to.
yeah, it's just to keep things even and keep games good. Like if you have a 4 stack of the top 0.1% of players, like it's just gonna either we have to just not give you a game because you just never get anything good, or it's just going to be the most unbalanced, unfair game where you just artificially inflate your elo because you keep winning. So it just allows us to make sure things are good and that you actually earn that champion rank when you get it, instead of just kind of having it handed to you by 4 stacking with 4 top players.
I have a question from Phase X Ricky. He asked if there will ever be weapon charms in the future. And I think I think you know who that's coming from.
Yeah,
So
I was
maybe a
gonna
little shout
say,
out to
first
him.
off, shout out to Phase X Ricky. Literally, this guy is like the most awesome. I mean, everybody's awesome, but like this guy, I think he's the reason our servers are on fire. Like single-handedly, this guy has just 24/7 DBS on fan on Twitter is just 24/7 telling everybody, download this game, get off Fortnite, go play Splitgate. He's telling all the streamers, everybody. And I mean, this guy, I just can't thank him enough. Like, he is just constantly so supportive, despite everything going on. I don't even remember what the question was. What was the question?
If we'll ever have gun charms.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think it'd be cool. I mean, I think I really like gun charms in Rainbow Six Siege. I used to play Siege myself, and definitely would love to see that in the future.